And welcome everyone to the Blackwater Report. I'm Ken. Today we have a very special guest. We have District 1 congressional seat for Florida, Doug Chico. And he has agreed to come down here and speak with us a little bit about himself and his platform and what his intentions and thoughts are for District 1 for Florida. So, Doug, thanks for being here.
Well, Kenneth, thanks for having me on today. So, as for my background, I'm from the area originally. I was born in Pensacola. We're a sixth-generation Northwest Florida family. Actually, 6 generations District 1. So,
Awesome.
I'm the only candidate that can say that we actually have deep roots in the area. And I think to best represent a district for the U.S. Congress, you should have deep roots in the area because it's truly your home, your land, and your ancestors are from here. So, as for my background, I went to the U.S. Naval Academy. I was a Navy Supply Corps officer. I got out during the COVID madness under the Biden administration.
Right.
And it was just time to transition out. But yeah, I'm a Southern Baptist. I go to church in Pensacola here. And, a man of faith. I think right now things are getting a little strange in the world, especially in my country. So I felt compelled to run. And I truly am afraid that our country is coming up to an inflection point where if we don't turn things around, we will lose our country forever. And the last thing I want is my 3-year-old baby girl's generation having fewer freedoms and opportunities than you and I enjoyed when we grew up.
Right.
And if we don't turn things around soon, Kenneth, we're going to lose our country. We really will.
Yeah. There is a lot going on. There really is. And when it comes to the folks that are watching this program, yes, we are all paying attention to the national news, but we're also very concerned about what's going to happen right here in Northwest Florida. So it's good that you're here. Thank you again for coming in. So we understand that you're running for this seat. What really kind of pushed you into the point where you said, you know what, I've got to put my hat in the ring. I've got to do this for my area. What led you to that?
So I really just got really fed up. I did not have any long-term ambitions to run for political office, especially U.S. Congress District 1 here in the state of Florida. But again, thinking of my daughter's future and her generation just not having the same freedoms and opportunities that we had, I do not want to look her in the eye in 5 years and say, I'm sorry, we gave our country away. We didn't fight for it. And the same thing, I have all these ancestors going back to the Revolution. We've served in the military, in the American Revolution. We fought in the war between the states. I've got ancestors that were killed in the Army of Northern Virginia, up in General Lee's army. Then we came back together as a country. We reunited and we built the most powerful, the greatest country in the history of the world, together, united. And I owe my family in Northwest Florida everything. They fought and they sacrificed for this country. I'm going to do the same.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is awesome. Okay. Let's see here. So we have a few questions here for him. So we understand why you're running. Okay. Now, let's say you go ahead and you get this seat, right? What would be 1 or 2 specific issues that need addressing immediately in the district from your perspective?
So that's a great question. So first of all, recently the White House jumped on board my plan to remove the federal sales tax for gasoline and diesel. So I appreciate the president backing me up on that. About 5 or 6 weeks ago, I was putting out posts and talking with folks behind the scenes. My team amplified that, and then a White House staffer confirmed that they ran with our plan, took to the president. So kudos for President Trump for jumping on board, and Senator Josh Hawley is driving that in the Senate right now. But we also need to remove the state tax of 22 cents for the state of Florida, because that would be 40 cents per gallon that folks in the Panhandle, District 1, our home, can save on gas, because people are hurting right now. We've got gasoline skyrocketing, insurance costs, housing. We need to do all that we can to tackle this affordability crisis, because, at the end of the day, if people can't feed their kids, they will accept, government tyranny, big tech tyranny, and then, that's a whole nother issue right there. But we have to protect the American people and specifically bring down the price of gasoline. And that starts with getting rid of the sales tax. And to my credit, we've already made an impact there.
Yeah.
But we can do so much more. Once Senator Josh Hawley's bill passes, and I hope it does, unless the Democrats want to block it for whatever reason, because they have Trump deranged.
Reason.
Exactly. They won't even stand and say that we want to put American citizens over illegal aliens. So you never know with the Democrats these days.
Yes.
So once Senator Josh Hawley once his bill passes, that will put pressure on the states to remove their state taxes. So we're paying between 30 and 60 cents in sales tax alone for gas.
Yeah.
So again, if we can remove the 22 cent sales tax for Florida, that's 40 cents right there.
Yeah.
And that would be directly and then indirectly attributed to me getting that process started. So it's been an incredible journey so far. Secondly, I'm a Navy veteran myself. I managed billions of assets as a Navy Supply Corps officer, worked for 3 two-star admirals. I was the lead Supply Corps officer to respond to Hurricane Irma in 2017. Governor Rick Scott had put out the call for the Navy to provide all available water and food. So I had the opportunity to fly in with the Marines, the EOD operators, and the Seabees into Key West on a Navy helicopter with water, coordinate with FEMA, National Guard, and was able to not only help Americans in their time of need, but also the people of my home state. So that was a very rewarding experience. And after that, I've supported active duty veterans and law enforcement in the private sector. So I think I have a very unique story and unique background that brings a lot to the table to run for U.S. Congress and for his 1st district. To your point there, we need a VA hospital in Pensacola, period. Yeah. So they have a VA hospital over in Biloxi, but we just have a clinic here. We call it the Jack.
Yeah.
What we can do is take the Navy hospital, but I was born there back in the day when they delivered babies, because I am the hometown guy running for U.S. Congress here. That's it. Take your Navy corpsmen, active duty personnel, and staffers out of the Navy hospital, shift them over to the VA clinic, and stand up a VA hospital here in Pensacola. That's going to reduce wait times, and it's the least we can do for veterans that have given so much to serve our country. I've spoken with veterans. There was one gentleman, Vietnam era, he had to drive to South Florida for a specialty surgery.
Yeah, I've heard of stuff like that. And it does seem a little wild that in an area like ours that is so heavily influenced with Navy and Air Force, Marines, and yes, there even is some Army floating around here.
Yes, my stepdad's Army, by the way. So came from a Marine Corps family, but I went Navy, so I was the black sheep. So you can imagine my family always gave me, in good fun, crap for going Navy. And they said, Doug, you know what Navy stands for, right? And I was like, no, Dad, I don't know. And I know the punchline. It stands for never again volunteer yourself. And you guys are just the taxi cab drivers for the Marines. So, but no, the Marines are awesome. They do great things.
Yeah. It's such a heavily, I mean, why would they not have a hospital here, or 2? I mean, even I'm sure there's so many active duty and retired military in the area. You would think it would be needed. You'd think it'd be a priority. So that's good. That's something on the top of the list is something for you. Is hey, let's go ahead and see if we can look into getting that here.
Yes, and to your point, so what happens is many people are put out into the community care network to see folks in the private sector, which is great. I think you should have that option. I think we should stop playing games with certain veterans like, hey, we're going to make you wait 30 days versus go see a private doctor of your choice. I want to give veterans maximum flexibility of the care and to see the doctor of their choice. So one issue that I'm seeing now, and I've spoken with a VA provider at Baptist, sometimes our practitioners within the community care network are not getting paid. And it doesn't matter how many times or how often, how much doctors love to see veterans. It's a business.
Sure.
And if they're not getting paid for services rendered, eventually they would have to drop out of the network. And that's where you see people having to drive further for services to see providers because we just don't have enough doctors in the system. So we need to streamline that reimbursement process, make it easier, and then recruit more providers to come in and serve veterans.
Yeah.
Because we've got elderly folks having to drive hours for care in some cases, and it's just unacceptable.
I never understood why they'd have to drive so far. I mean, when we have, I would think we have all the resources here, and we could just do it here. Hey, Santa Rosa County, thanks for watching the Blackwater Report. This platform reaches thousands of local Santa Rosa County citizens just like you each week. And if you have a small business and would like to grow your local reach, give us a call here at the Blackwater Report. We'd be glad to help. Well, good. That's I appreciate that.
And we need to widen Highway 98, and we've got a few other roads that I would highlight. Is, for instance, when I'm in Pace going to see a relative, it can take me sometimes 45 minutes to an hour to drive up Chumuckla.
Yeah.
And if you guys are listening to this and you live in the Milton Pace area, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That is a safety issue. We need to make sure we get the federal funding to widen that road. And look, I'm a conservative. I'm all for small government. But here's the thing. There's enough money for all these programs to take care of our veterans, active duty, and our roads. But there's $1 trillion in fraud, give or take, every year, fraud, waste, and abuse that is going out there. And neither party really wants to tackle this issue. The Somalians up in Minnesota, that is just scratching the surface. And we need to go into California. We need to go to New York City and New York. We need to root out this fraud, waste, and abuse that is enriching the elite class and the political establishment, and make sure we take care of the American people and put them first. Because again, there's enough money out there, but it's going to fraud, waste, and abuse. We have to cut it out.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a pretty big fraud case in Pensacola not that long ago that came to light. And you know, if you keep looking, I would imagine there's probably a few others that we haven't heard about yet.
I'm sure
that are out there. Okay, excellent. So let's see here. So, let's see. Well, we talked a little bit about you being in the Navy and what perspective that gives you to be the District 1 representative. Now, how would with Northwest Florida being a pro-military area that it is, how does this shape your priorities for District 1? So something like the VA hospital would absolutely be at the top of the list, widening roads like 98, for example. And that's been a concern of a lot of people, and especially the top folks over at Eglin. They brought it to the attention of Santa Rosa County.
Yes.
Absolutely, because their concern is they cannot get their war fighters to the front gate in a reasonable amount of time because of traffic.
It impacts readiness for our military.
It impacts readiness.
It's a national security issue, actually. Because if we can't get training done time, we can't get the folks in. It's come on.
Right. Exactly. And it's a road. And it almost seems silly that it's a road that because of the widening or not widening is what's doing it. So you would think we need to fix this, and we need to fix it now.
Absolutely.
I mean, there shouldn't really be a whole lot of discussion on that.
I agree.
But widening roads for sure. Okay, so let's see here. So, let's see here. So, go ahead.
On the veteran piece, so I'm running against the Democrats. The current gentleman who's in there right now, he's not from the area. He's not from here. He doesn't live around here. But he did skip a meeting with the director of the VA in Pensacola at the American Legion Post 240 at 6 p.m. March 30th. So Senator Ashley Moody showed up. She sent her staff. Senator Rick Scott, he sent his staff.
Yeah.
County commissioner showed up. City council, even though it's out of the city limits.
Sure.
I believe they had representation as well. The only person that skipped it was our current U.S. congressman. Didn't bother to show up. He was in town.
For shame.
Congress was in recess. He's got plenty of paid staffers in Pensacola to go to that stuff. So guess who they had speak on his behalf, sit up front next to the Senate staffers to represent all of Northwest Florida?
Who was that?
Me.
It was you.
Yeah, so we had a couple hundred veterans there, and it was a great opportunity, but it's a shame that our sitting U.S. congressman skipped the event. And I say this, you can't campaign on helping veterans with the VA if you can't show up for a meeting, a town hall with hundreds of veterans and their families with the director of the VA, the regional director. You just can't do it.
Who would skip something like that?
I don't know. It happens. So
I'm absolutely certain there was something important that was taking precedence over that meeting. I'm certain.
Anyway, we can go into that.
Yeah.
There's been other events that have been skipped for sure. So
Hey, if you're going to run for this area and you're going to represent this area, those kind of things you should be at. I would think. I would think. I mean, those are your constituents, right? Those are the people you're trying to help.
yes,
Okay. Let's see here. Now with this area, and we talked a little bit about how this area is growing. Northwest Florida is growing for sure. Um, how would how would you approach the growth in this area with the folks want, I mean, people come here because it's beautiful.
sure.
It's got a hometown feel. We've got a lot of farmland.
Yeah.
It's got some really nice beaches on the south end. How do you balance that with all the new people coming in? How would you approach trying to keep that small town feel, but also being open to some of these people coming in?
That's a great question. Again, I love dirt roads. So we helped settle Walton County back in the 1800s. Again, we're a sixth generation Northwest Florida family. It is a balancing act. So you talk about people coming in from out of state. Thanks to Governor DeSantis and his leadership, especially during COVID and after that, I spoke with the Midway Fire District Chief down in Gulf Breeze. He told me, Doug, I need a new fire station to support all this growth. My funding is staying the same. So again, we've got all this fraud, waste, and abuse, and we're not taking care of our first responders, getting them the resources they need. And I support first responders actually in this private sector. I'm the national sales director for F3 Defense.
Okay.
We sell less than lethal pepper spray systems for police vehicles. So if you have an Antifa problem,
Yeah.
what you can do is you can outfit your armored car or your police cruiser with a automated pepper spray system that will, if you have a bunch of rioters, a bunch of crazy Democrats that come around your vehicle, that law enforcement officer can press a button and give them a healthy dose of pepper spray to get them to back off.
Huh.
It's better than a rubber bullet or lethal means.
Yeah.
But yeah, and unfortunately, the crazy Democrats in these big blue cities, you know what they told the company?
Okay.
We would never want to pepper spray our people. So
It is a less than lethal alternative.
it's just a failure of leadership. So but yeah.
That seems weird.
It's weird. Yes, it's weird, but also it kind of highlights, that what I'm seeing in the private sector of the Democrats really don't want security. They don't care about public safety. And again, when President Trump asked the Democrats to stand if they support American citizens over the rights of illegal aliens, every single Democrat remained sitting at the State of the Union. I think that's very telling. These folks have really sold out the country. And trust me, I've got issues with the Republican Party. I do.
Sure.
I do. I would, if everything was going well, Kenneth, I would not be running. I've got to spend more time with the family. I've got to be making money right now. But the Democrats have just lost the plot.
Yeah.
They really have.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, to go back to your point, it's a balancing act because I love dirt roads, but we want to grow smartly in a smart fashion. So one issue I hear from county commissioners is Tallahassee does not let them push back on development projects based on congestion alone. So again, it's a safety issue. So yes, I want to widen the roads and support their growth, but at the same time, let's say a road isn't getting widened for a few years with budget issues. Well, we should empower local government to have more of a say on the speed of development and to push back a little on Tallahassee about this stuff.
Yeah.
Because again, there's a lot of lobbying efforts, going into that, I'm sure, over Tallahassee.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's so many things on the agenda that they have to deal with. But when it comes to some of these roads, it's just so important to have these issues addressed. It's so important to have the infrastructure. If there's going to be growth, there should be infrastructure to accommodate for that growth.
Yes.
It should go hand in hand.
I agree.
Good. Okay. So let's see here. We'll get a couple more questions and then we'll be done. Okay, how about jobs? Let's talk a little bit about that. How can Northwest Florida attract higher paying jobs and new industries in this area? What's your thoughts?
So I'm glad you asked that. I have a plan that we're finalizing. I think if you are a company or a business owner and you hire veterans, you deserve a tax break. I do not know why that is not the case right now. We have the most complex tax code in the history of the world.
Yeah.
It's this thick. Frankly, I think we need to simplify that tax code. But I want to bring more veterans like myself in the private sector because a leading cause is ties them to VA mental health. A leading cause, as we've seen in studies of mental health issues among veterans, is unemployment and underemployment. Bring these people into the private sector, get them jobs, let them support businesses, and then we've got a highly skilled workforce here. They got advanced degrees the military paid for, great training. Let's reward those business owners that want to hire veterans, especially in Northwest Florida. Bring them in. It's a win for these job creators. It's a win for the veterans, and it's a win for District 1. So I've never heard another politician bring this up, but it's so simple. It's a win-win, and I hope to get that done in my first term in Congress and make sure we get that across the finish line.
That would be really neat.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. And I would think with a lot of the veterans that are out there, they will be there on time.
They will. And they know how to work, especially those Marines, Marines and Navy folks. So nothing against the Army. We have an inter-service rivalry because I went to the Naval Academy. My father was a Naval Academy graduate. He passed away many years ago. My mom remarried a West Pointer.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how contentious Army-Navy is every year. But my mom roots for Navy. She roots for the
There you
the better school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. That's actually a really good idea. It would help a lot of people.
It would, yes.
And I would think that those that are doing the hiring, those companies, they're going to get some really good employees.
Oh, absolutely. And we should reward them for that.
Dedicated,
Yeah.
on time. I mean, I would think so. I would think that would just be a smart move.
Yes, I've got other ideas to bring more industry into Northwest Florida because right now we're really relying on Navy Federal and the DOD. I say the Defense Department. I know we've changed it to Department of War, but I just say DOD as your habit. But the thing is, there are conversations being had right now about informally. The cost of living is going up, and that means we have to pay more in housing allowance to have active duty personnel. There have been informal conversations, as far as I know, to move units inland where DOD can save money. First of all, I won't let that happen. Our community relies on the Defense Department and the military for jobs, employment, and industry. So, same time, I will, unlike the current guy, I won't let any units leave. And he's failed in that. There's one unit left.
One did leave.
So, that won't happen on my watch. And we're going to bring more industry in. I'm looking at, SpaceX and Blue Origin. We've got plenty of talent here, plenty of former military folks. So, love to bring in some more industry and have a second Space Coast to a degree.
Absolutely. I mentioned before we got started that I deal with drones.
That's awesome.
In aviation. That's something I've been around. Florida is real. I mean, the Space Coast over there, around the Cape. There could be stuff over here. There could certainly be absolutely things over here. I mean, they've already invested in Florida. Why not invest in this side of Florida?
Absolutely.
We've got all the resources needed, and we've got a nice beach.
We do. Well, it is. Don't tell everybody. That's the problem. We've got.
Oh yeah.
So we let the word out, and it's
now everybody knows we have such a nice beach. We really
absolutely do. Yes.
Okay. Let's see here. So we'll get one more question here. Well, okay. I definitely want to give you the last few seconds to tell everybody
Sure, absolutely.
about why they should vote for you. One more. How about this one? Because you're right. There is a divide in the thinking, the goals when it comes to Democrats and Republicans. How do you plan to work across party lines to get things done in Congress? Because it can be tricky.
Yes,
It can be very tricky
it is.
up there, up in the DC area.
So I'll say this: there is a divide between Republicans and Democrats, but sometimes when it comes to things that are blatantly unconstitutional, they'll have a vote before a long weekend to add more unconstitutional surveillance to our growing surveillance state.
Yeah.
So when it comes to AI surveillance like flock safety, I was one of the leading voices starting last year, harping on flock safety. When it was rolled out in Pensacola, I reached out to the mayor's office, never heard back. I reached out to 12 congressional offices, and one came back, and actually it was proposed as a bill later to, if you use AI license plate reading systems, you should get a warrant. And I think we just need to balance, security and civil liberties. And the thing is, the founding fathers were brilliant, but they'd never in a million years could have envisioned AI and facial recognition. So this is my idea. We need to bridge that gap. We need to have a digital bill of rights. We need to stop these data brokers from harvesting all your data and selling it to the ATF and FBI. And we need to look at flock safety, because these things are pointed not just the roads, and there's 100,000 of them. I'll take a step back. For those that are not familiar with flock, there's these black cameras. They look pretty harmless, but they scan every dent, every scratch, every unique identifier for your vehicle, and then it takes images of the folks inside. It then goes to a national database where 4,800 local law enforcement departments can pull that information without a warrant, without any oversight, and no justification. All they have to do is type in investigation, and they can just track whoever they want.
Right.
And same thing with federal agencies. So I believe if you're leaving church and going to buy a firearm, why do the feds need to track you without any oversight or without a warrant?
Yeah, I would think the founding fathers would be a little upset at some of this.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's just one system. So, the problem is the donors behind this are so powerful. That's when I called up to DC. Again, I also called 3 U.S. Senate offices. They said, "Oh, we've never heard of this." I'm sure some of them knew this company.
They had to have discussions. They had to have,
I'm sure.
NDAs that had to get signed before things went out. And we've seen flock cameras and other companies as well.
And speed cameras.
Cameras.
Get rid of the speed cameras. They were actually ruled unconstitutional. So I don't want any speed cameras in the state of Florida. Again, I'm pro law enforcement. I support law enforcement as the national sales director for F3 Defense.
Sure.
But I don't want speed cameras in my state. I don't want these red light cameras, which are already ruled unconstitutional. So I have to ask, why are they still in Pensacola and up here?
Well,
That's a good question. I'm not an attorney, but
yeah.
we should have that conversation. And this Orwellian flock AI surveillance system. I know people are focused on affordability, insurance, healthcare, immigration, which we didn't really talk to. I'll touch briefly in a second.
Sure.
But we've got this growing surveillance state, and I don't want our children to effectively grow up in communist China if we don't address this. And we can go this route, or we can find a balance between security and civil liberties. But as our founding fathers said, if you sacrifice all of your liberty in the name of security, you'll have neither. On the immigration front, this is a big issue, and I've been very vocal on this. Unfortunately, the Republican establishment has come out and said, we are no longer interested in mass deportations. I'm sorry, but I think we should hold folks accountable. Debank all 65 million plus illegal immigrants in this country. We need to start having a real visa tracking system, because many of the folks that are here that shouldn't be here, they didn't cross the border. They flew in.
Yes.
So they fly in and they overstay their visa and they stay forever.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit too long. They may not check back in with the boards or the officers that they
and they just stay here.
And then they're here.
Yeah. And if third world countries can have a proper visa tracking system, like as an American, go to certain countries in Latin America, they eventually will deport you. So if the third world can do it, Kenneth, I think the United States of America can do it. But the problem is they don't want to fix it.
Yeah.
They want cheap labor, and the other side they both want cheap labor. And then they want control, and they want the votes. And we just can't. It's an invasion. We've got to get these folks out. Another issue is we're not enforcing our labor laws. So this is, and we have done this for decades, and this is coming from a retired Border Patrol officer. I won't name him, but he lives in the area. Great gentleman, great patriot, former Marine. And here's my idea. You take the worst offender in the S&P 500 index, and instead of just having 25 ICE agents perp walk that one illegal alien, you go 6 a.m., you perp walk him out of his mansion on national television.
Yeah.
That sends a message. His stock price, or him or her, it could be a woman, you never know.
Yeah, absolutely could.
His stock price will plummet. It will send a message to the other corporations. hire Americans,
Yeah.
hire legal labor.
Yeah.
Enough is enough. And we need to stop this H-1B1 scam. We've got companies hiring them for entry-level service positions, not even tech positions. This system has been abused. Cut it down, get rid of it. It's horrendous right now.
There's plenty of skilled, smart, experienced people that we have that can fill the jobs. It confuses me as to why that's not a priority. Why some of these people from other places are taking the priority of filling those jobs. As you mentioned, it's probably has something to do with cheaper labor.
The donors have way too much control. So we need to address, and this is something I would have to work with as Democrats. Again, the Democrats are crazy. They do not put Americans first. They've been very clear on that. But when it comes to getting big money and special interests out of politics, I will have to reach across the aisle and do that. So this is an idea that I've had for a while. You shorten the campaign cycle.
Mm-hmm.
When I win a seat, when I'm sworn in January and I'm your next U.S. congressman for Florida's 1st District,
Right.
Within a few months, unfortunately, I'll have one of my staffers saying, Doug or Congressman Chico, you're going to have to start looking at fundraising for reelection. It's a year-round thing. So you get in the House, it's a 2-year term, right? You immediately have to start thinking about fundraising for that next election cycle. But if we shorten the campaign cycle and say you can't legally campaign outside maybe this 1-month window, that's going to do wonders. Then congressmen can focus more on the constituents. When they fly back home the weekend, they can take care of their people first instead of having to go out and meet with donors. And then what it will do, it will blunt the impact of big money.
Yeah.
So whether you have $500,000, $100,000, or $10 million, if you can only send out flyers within that 1-month period, or 2 weeks, or whatever it may be, that will have a diminishing return on the amount of money used in that campaign. But if it's, let's say, a constant campaign cycle, unfortunately, it's almost more often than not, whoever raises the most money often wins. And that involves these politicians selling out and not truly representing their constituents back home, but the donor class.
Well, it feels like it's distracting from the job.
It is. It really is. And on that note, I didn't mention this earlier, I made a pledge to donate every single dollar of my congressional salary that is above the median income for Florida's 1st District. So if I want to make more money as a politician, politician's a bad word, as a representative, because I want to represent all of you in my home district here in Florida 1, I need to bring better paying jobs in Florida. I need to make sure I'm taking care of y'all here, and then I'll be rewarded myself.
Sure.
Because it is a part-time position with great benefits, with per diem, with travel benefits as well.
Right.
And I challenged everyone in this race to do the same. No one took me up on it.
I was going to say, now,
Not a single person.
Wouldn't it be an interesting concept if all representatives did exactly that? They won't. Were allowed, or they were only paid whatever the median income for their district is. I wonder how they would respond.
They would, the incentives would be properly aligned. But you see, a lot of people go to DC to do insider trading, to grift, to enrich themselves, and they really don't want to save this country. I signed an oath, or a sworn oath twice to the U.S. Constitution. Once as a freshman at the U.S. Naval Academy, and then secondly as a newly commissioned ensign in the U.S. Navy. I fully intend to keep that oath. I owe it for my daughter's generation. I owe it for my ancestors that sacrificed so much here in Northwest Florida. We can't lose our country, Kenneth.
No.
And unfortunately, the Republicans have the House, the Senate, and the White House, and things aren't going great right now. But I fear it's going to get even worse if the Democrats come back in and try and reopen the border and go after the Second Amendment, go after our God-given rights. So we need real fighters in the Republican Party representing us in Florida to make sure we're able to push back against this stuff. And again, I'm not going to just toe the party line. When it comes to surveillance, I'll push back on that. Follow the Constitution. Many of the issues that we're facing today for our country come from two areas: taking God out of our culture, our schools, out of society, and replacing it with more government. And also not following the Constitution.
Right.
The courts have failed us. They really have. The founding fathers were brilliant, but unfortunately, we're not holding up our end of the bargain.
I would think yeah, exactly.
We're not.
The interpretation is a bit skewed at this point.
Yes, and that's where my digital Bill of Rights comes in to safeguard Americans, because we've got AI surveillance that will be shredding our constitutional rights. It's already happening now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, and you bring up a good point. We have in the presidential seat, we have the House, we have the Congress. It's all Republican.
that's right. But not all
So,
Republicans are the same.
What's we're not living in a utopia. Why not? I don't understand no, I understand there's issues, but with that amount of influence, you would think there'd be some progressive steps being made. And we kind of seem to be having a lot of the same issues that we had.
I agree.
So nothing changed. Where do we go from here? By voting in some new people.
That's right.
I would think voting in some new people, some people who are going to stand for the citizens and represent them.
Yes, and that are from the area and that view this as a fight.
Mhm.
A fight for our country, because we are truly coming up to a point where we're going to lose our country unless we elect the right people that are willing to take a risk to stand up and fight for our country, regardless of what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Again, we appreciate you coming in. We really do. Thank you for, informing us on your platform, telling us a little bit about yourself. So in closing, we'll give you the last little bit here and share with everybody why they should vote for Doug Chico.
That's a great question. So we need Republicans that are staunchly conservative, that will back up the president with his agenda, especially on immigration. We've got too many Republicans not codifying the executive orders from the president. We need to stand up, deport every illegal here, start enforcing our laws, go after the corporations that are hiring illegals, start taxing foreign remittances. These are all things the president supports, but the Republicans in Congress are not backing him up. Many of them are controlled by the donor class too much, and we talked about that earlier. But we just need to stand with the president. I won't just toe the party line, but we need to back him up, get these folks out, defend our way of life, and we can't let the crazy Democrats come into Northwest Florida and get a foothold. We can't do that. So as for myself, why should someone vote for me as your next U.S. Congressman? I want to represent you. I'm from the area. I truly think to truly represent an area, you should be from there and you should have heritage from that. Again, we're a 6th generation District 1 family. My ancestors came to Walton County. I was born at the Navy Hospital in Pensacola. I love Northwest Florida. It's truly my home. My Navy experience, I was a Navy lieutenant. I managed billions of dollars as an active duty officer in the Navy Supply Corps, went to the U.S. Naval Academy. I've sworn oath to the Constitution twice, once as a freshman at the U.S. Naval Academy and once as a newly commissioned ensign, a Navy officer. I will keep that oath. I will never forget where I came from. I will never forget who I represent. I represent the people of Northwest Florida and American citizens. You guys aren't just consumers. You are citizens with God-given rights, and I'll defend the Constitution. I'll do everything in my power to push back against big tech and big government, because if we don't, we'll end up like China, and our children will pay the price. So in closing, I hope to have your vote. I do rely on folks to pitch in, $50, $100, or whatever you can afford to help us win this election. If you want to contribute and fuel this fight and keep us going, go to chicoforcongress.com. You'll see a donate link, and whatever you can chip in, please do that, because I'm my biggest donor by far. I truly want to represent all of you. And I made a commitment to donate every single dollar of my congressional salary above the median income for Northwest Florida. I'm in it to fight and win for all of you guys and for my daughter's generation.
Yeah.
I'm in it for that.
Yeah.
If you want to volunteer, please go to our website and click Contact Us. If you want to door knock, you can get a sign, get out the word. If you want to be in a phone bank, there is something for everybody. Whether you're 18 years old or 85 years old, there's a spot for you on the Chico for Congress team. We can use every man and woman on our team to fight and win this race. because we will win this race.
Yeah.
And I will be your next U.S. congressman with your support.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Really good. Really cool. All right. Well, everybody, we appreciate you sitting with us today. I'm Ken. That's Doug. And you've been watching the Blackwater Report. And until next time, take care.